Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing good. In today's video I'm going to show you two 9 out of 10 clone fragrances. The first one comes from the house of Ard Al Zaafaran and it's called Satwa, and this fragrance is a clone of Nishane Ani. And the second one comes from the house of Flavia and it's called Nouveau Ambre, and this one is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. So in today's video I'm going to tell you why I'm giving these two fragrances a score of 9 out of 10. I'm going to start with Flavia's Nouveau Ambre, and I'm going to quickly show you the packaging. It comes packaged in this white colored box with some black and golden accents. On the front you got the name of the parent company, which is Sterling, and in case you're wondering, it's the same parent company as you get with Armaf. You get the sticker of authenticity, bottle size 100 milliliters. On the back there's the concentration, which is supposedly a perfume concentration. You get some additional information on the bottom, and along with the production date, which in this case is September of 2023. In order to get to the bottle you need to slide the bottom part of the box out like this, and once you do that you're greeted by the bottle. It comes in this dark brownish color and it's very similar to the original Ombre Nomade fragrance. The look. The bottle has nice heft, get a plastic cap that's a very snug fit, so all in all the packaging is pretty decent. The note breakdown of Flavia's Nouveau Ambre has the following notes. The top notes are rose, raspberry and saffron, the middle notes are geranium and birch, and the base notes are agar oud, incense, benzoin and amber. And actually it's quite a accurate note breakdown. I'll show you the sprayer in action and then I'll tell you about the scent of Nouveau Ambre. The sprayer is actually very nice. And onto the actual scent of this fragrance. The opening here, once you spray this, you're greeted by the combination of rose, incense, a slight hint of raspberry, just a slight sort of a fruity sweetness from the raspberry. I also get the oud, the agar oud note right from the get-go. There's a touch of sweetness from the amber and quite a strong leather note in the opening of this thing. Once this starts to dry down, there's also a bit of spiciness in the opening, but on the dry down the spiciness and the raspberry notes they are completely gone, and the dry down is a mix between the rose, the agar oud, which is very prominent on the dry down, the leather, which is very strong on the dry down again, and the incense. So that's pretty much what you get with this fragrance. It has a very strong Middle Eastern vibe to it because of that combination of agar oud, incense and rose. And all in all, this is not a fragrance that's safe for blind buying unless you really enjoy Middle Eastern fragrances. I personally really enjoy the original scent and I enjoy Flavia's Nouveau Ambre, the way that it's been done. When it comes to how close this thing is to the original fragrance, it's actually surprisingly close considering the price point of this fragrance, and in my experience from what I've tried clone wise, clones of Ombre Nomade, this is probably the second closest thing that I have ever tried, so it's really close. What it misses is a bit stronger raspberry note in the opening. Also the agar oud note in Nouveau Ambre feels a bit rougher compared to the original fragrance. The same goes with the leather note, but again you need to keep in mind the price point of this fragrance and the price differential between this and the original scent. But all in all, this is actually a very nicely done clone of Ombre Nomade, and in the air it smells almost identical compared to the original fragrance. When it comes to the performance, I've been a little bit disappointed, let's say that, because I was expecting a little bit better performance out of this fragrance. It's not a bad performer. I get somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of performance with very loud projection in the first about hour and a half, but still I had a little bit higher expectations. I wanted this to last at least like 9 to 10 hours because that scent profile usually is very long lasting. Still though, not a bad performing fragrance. Price tag, I paid about 25-26 euros, which makes this fragrance more than 10 times cheaper compared to the original scent. And considering the decent performance, the nice packaging, and the very similar scent profile, I think it's a pretty decent deal. And when it comes to versatility, this is a masculine fragrance that's heavily orientated towards the cold weather. It's just too strong, you know, that agar oud, rose, incense combo with some leather as well. It just doesn't work in hot weather. You just need to wear this in cold weather, and this is a fragrance that's orientated towards the nighttime. And next, let's move on to the second fragrance featured in this video, the Ard Al Zaafaran Satwa. The fragrance comes packaged in this dark blue colored box with golden accents. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the concentration, EDP, the bottle size 100 milliliters. You get a sticker of authenticity on the back, and on the bottom there's a production date, which in this case is February of 2023. In order to get to the bottle, you need to pull this thing off and the bottle sits inside, and once you do that, this is how the bottle looks. It comes in this dark blue color, again with golden accents. You get a cap that's plastic but I think has metallic coating. It's a snug fit, it has nice heft to it, and to be honest I really like the packaging and the presentation of Satwa. The note breakdown of Ard Al Zaafaran Satwa that I was able to find online has the following notes. It's a pretty simplistic note breakdown. The top notes are vanilla and caramel, the middle notes are amber and white musk, and the base notes are sandalwood and patchouli. It doesn't sound very right, and I'll tell you why that's the case. Show the sprayer in action here. It's actually again a pretty decent sprayer. And onto the scent of this thing. Now, I told you that the note breakdown that I quoted isn't, you know, very accurate because it misses a lot of the notes that I actually pick up out of this fragrance. In the opening, I get a ton of vanilla, which is the backbone of this fragrance, but I also get quite a lot of spices. There's sort of a peppery feel in the opening of this thing. Probably there's something like a pink pepper or black pepper note, something like, you know, that kind of note, something peppery has been used in here. And also there's a bit of freshness from a citrusy note, maybe something like an orange or mandarin note. The citrusy notes, they play more of a support role. The opening is more dominated by the vanilla and that spicy peppery you know, note. When this fragrance goes into the dry down, that peppery vibe that you get, peppery notes, that spiciness completely goes away. The citruses are somewhere still in the background, but they play even a less prominent role compared to the opening. And the dry down is dominated by the strong sweet vanilla note of this fragrance. There's a bit of that sandalwood that gives a bit of creaminess to the fragrance, and also a bit more sweetness from the amber. But basically, you know, the main note in this fragrance from the opening to the dry down is the strong vanilla note. All in all, this is a very, very sweet fragrance, especially on the dry down, and very enjoyable for the people who like sweet fragrances. As I said in the beginning of the video, Satwa is a clone of Nishane Ani, and it's actually a pretty decent clone. It's not super accurate or super close. It's a bit more peppery. The way that this is different compared to the original fragrance is the way that this is more peppery, more spicy in the opening, and also less citrusy compared to the original fragrance. On the dry down it becomes quite a lot closer, but still there are a few minor differences. All in all, probably what Ard Al Zaafaran have done with Satwa, they've not went, you know, tried to completely cloning the original fragrance. They've added a little bit of a twist, which in my opinion is not the best thing, because this thing can feel a bit too peppery in the opening, but the dry down is more enjoyable, and still this is a very decently done clone of Ani, and I actually quite like it. When it comes to the performance of Satwa, this fragrance has proven to be a very good performer. I've been getting about 9 hours of performance on my skin with moderate projection in the first up to 2 hours. So performance wise, Satwa has been a very decent performer. When it comes to the price tag, I paid about 20 euros to get Satwa, which I think is a fantastic deal considering the performance, especially the performance of this fragrance, and the fact that I like sweet vanilla based scents. So all in all, I think it's a very decent deal. When it comes to the versatility, I think it's a little bit less versatile compared to the original fragrance because it lacks that citrusy notes, that strong citrusy notes in the opening, which adds a bit of versatility to the scent profile. This is a fragrance that's more oriented towards the cold weather. You can probably get away with in warm weather as well, as long as you don't go too heavy on the sprayer. But a good thing about versatility is that, in my opinion, Satwa, because of its sweet scent profile, is perfectly unisex. And on to my final thoughts about Satwa from Ard Al Zaafaran and Nouveau Ombre from Flavia. As I said in the opening of this video, for me those two fragrances have been a 9 out of 10 clones, and I'll tell you why this is the case. When it comes to Nouveau Ombre, the fact that this actually is very close to the original fragrance, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10 score because it feels a little bit rougher around the edges, especially, you know, the oud note and the leather notes that have been used in here are a bit rougher compared to the original fragrance. But then again, this thing costs less than 10% of the original fragrance, and also doesn't perform as good as I expected. Still not a bad performer, but those are the reasons why I'll give this one a score of 9 out of 10. When it comes to Satwa from Ard Al Zaafaran, again another very nicely done clone of Ani. But the reason here that I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10 score is because of that very peppery, very spicy opening, which can be a little bit challenging for some people, and that's the main way that it differs compared to the original fragrance. But other than that, this is very competitively priced, has very good performance, comes very nicely packaged. All in all, as I said, a very nicely done clone of Ani, with my score of this one is a 9 out of 10. And so guys, in today's video I showed you two 9 out of 10 clone fragrances in my opinion. The first one, Satwa from Ard Al Zaafaran, a clone of Nishane Ani, and the second one, Nouveau Ombre from the house of Flavia, which is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like. Also, if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, I would greatly appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. I hope that I'm going to see you in the next video. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.